All right, I want to make a quick video, hopefully quick video. This is Revolver versus Doublewide. Revolver's getting the disc, 2024 Nationals, so they're in white. Um, Obviously, these are very good teams. Obviously, these are very good players, and spoiler alert, but Revolver does score on this point without turning it over. But I still wanted to point out some things that I think they could have done better if they were going to be optimal about how they played. And I think that when you aren't at an elite level like this and you don't have the room for error with the athleticism and the throws that your team generally has across the board, it's more important to be able to look at these things and dissect them and understand why we want to do the things that we want to do. So I'm taking it to the top level here. A couple good things, couple bad things that I saw just from a standpoint of if I was coaching these teams, what would I nitpick, right? So let's start. Double, I just pulled it. Revolver gets the disc. So they're centering it here. This kind of looks like a little junk setup here, which means there's a wide hole open right there. He finds the hole there. This is the first thing I wanted to talk about, is this guy's throw right here. He throws it across the field to the four side. He probably gained about 5 to 10 yards, between 5 and 10 yards of vertical space, and he just sacrificed about 20 yards of horizontal space to the four side, right? Maybe not a huge deal for Revolver, but you'll see what it turns into. You'll see how this makes things harder than it should be by taking that pass all the way out there. And this throw was maybe stall 2. He didn't need to take this throw. But anyways, gets the disc. He has, so first thing you'll notice when he made that cut, there was nobody else on this side of the field. I think he knew that based on the angle he was cutting in. So when he gets the disc, he knows he shouldn't even bother looking upfield because he doesn't have a view of the field. He doesn't have power position, and he knows he doesn't have anybody to work it with quite yet. Besides this handler who comes up and follows the disc. That was really good. So he dishes it off, and he gives this handler power position without any mark set up. So the handler comes in, he gets power position, no mark set up, but look where he is now. Right, this is a high risk thing. He's now stuck on the sideline because he's looking deep for just a slight bit too long. If you watch, the swing happens here, he gets the little dish here, right? Right here is probably where he needs to not be looking deep anymore, which is hard to do. And in real time, it's even harder, right? I get to watch a video, I get to rewind it, I get to stop it. But this defender pulled off of this guy to take the disc, or this defender did. Either way, it doesn't matter. So there's basically a two-man cup here. He's looking to use his power position to huck it, but really, in my opinion, he should be looking around right now. This mark is still collapsing in. This defender is clogging the lane, which means this dump right here is wide open, with plenty of time and plenty of space. As this mark gets closer, this throw to him gets harder. So if you look soon, if you bounce it off this sideline, this guy has a count or two, especially if you throw it out to space. This guy has a count or two, maybe even 3, depending on how quickly defense collapses, to look to the break side further or to look with all this new space that they opened up in the middle of the field. Right? So looking deep on this throw, sacrifice something very easy here. And you'll see they get it off here, but what kind of throw does he have to make? He has to throw a floaty, high release backhand, and this defender jogged over and got in position to stop any continuations to the break side. If he had looked sooner, they wouldn't be able to do that. He would have to sprint, which means that his momentum would be shifted in one direction heavily, and it gives you a lot more options opening up on the field, and they bite a lot harder on fakes typically. But it's fine. They get a big under here because this guy is playing heavy last back. So big under here. Cleaning up space. This throw right here is good. I like this throw. Threw it out to space to where only his receiver could get it. This is the next thing that I have kind of an issue with, right? The stack is essentially lined up with this brick mark here. It's kind of a glob right now, but it's essentially lined up with it. Typically, when you break the plane of the stack, you want the cut to come from the back. They might have a different game plan. Maybe they do, right? But typically, when you break the plane of the stack, you want the cut to come from the back. Why? Because there is more room for error to throw to. Right, and you don't have, there is more space, more adaptation that could be made by these guys back here than this cutter up here. So this cutter from the front of the stack makes his cut, but it's very horizontal. So the way that he can be hit is either with a sharp IO flick, or with like a quick IO flick, leading him, which is, you can hit it. It's not that difficult, but it is a little more high risk of a throw, or a heavily stretched out backhand. Right, out to space, assuming this guy retains his position. You see this mark is coming in, so both of those throws are a little bit more iffy. If I am the front of the stack here, so you see this swing around here, if I'm the front of the stack here, I'm cutting right now. I'm cutting to the break side right this moment, because I see he's going to catch it, I see where this mark is going to be, and I see that my guy is behind me. He doesn't do that, he waits, he kind of gets set up, and he kind of like lulls his defense for some reason. He didn't need to do that. Right? He didn't need to fake out the defense. He could have just taken the momentum that they already had, and he could have taken this break space over here. He didn't. He took like a couple extra steps. I want to watch it again. So the catch is happening right now. And you see he took 2 slow steps back in and then went to the break side. By that time, the mark was already in position to cut off anything easy. And also, if he had made that cut on time, he could have faked out this way, gotten his defender to bite, and then gone back upline out to the force side space. You'll see that this defender here is kind of clogging the center, which leads into another issue that I have with what they were doing here. Okay, where is the dump? See the dump shadow over here. The dump essentially has not moved from where he threw the disc initially. They might even be further back than where he threw the disc initially. So he's doing nothing with the space. His defender is clear as day, clogging the center of the field to make anything in here harder to do. He has tons of space to work with. Maybe the wind is a little bit harsh. Maybe they have to watch that. But there is no reason he should be this far over to sacrifice that much force side space. And he just stands there. He gets the disc. He has to back up a little bit more. And now he's almost back on the sideline. This is a give and go move here. This goes right into the next thing I want to talk about. This is a give and go move here. The guy that just threw it is now going upline. This is an obvious switch situation. Everybody knows that. So this defender right here calls for the switch. The dump makes the right move to counter a switch. But the guy that's guarding him makes the move to counter the counter, if you watch. So he comes in, he knows there's going to be a switch. The offensive player stops in the gap here. Stops in the gap to try to get that like little short throw. We've all seen it, right? But instead, this guy collapses in a couple extra steps. He could have tried to collapse in immediately and get this mark on, but instead he stuck with him until the handoff was nearly complete. Right? Calls for the switch, sticks with him, kind of takes the angle to stop that inside throw. So that was great. That was great on all marks. Offensive player made the right move, defensive player made a better move, and you had the upline defensive player kind of waiting to hold this space and to stop any severe like upline that's going to happen. I think from here it's all kind of textbook stuff. Maybe not textbook, but he's going to throw a hammer here first 4. Okay, so they did end up scoring. Like I said, this is nitpicking. This is min-maxing. This is optimization in theory, right? There are factors that could come into play. You see there's a little bit of wind. There are game plans that are put in place. There are systems that are run. But this is just to give you an idea of sometimes why I say the things that I say about don't push it to the force sideline. It makes things harder than it needs to be. It limits your situation. It limits your options. And we don't have the room for error that a lot of these teams do. So that's all. Hope the video was helpful.